You order? Oh, sorry, yeah. Wow, there's a lot of choices. Okay, just a large latte. Just give me a large latte.
Okay, so a venti.
No, a large. I'm not that thirsty.
Okay, a venti.
Can you? Dude, really? Can you? Sorry.
Here you go.
Black coffee. So hot. You have
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I spilled everywhere. I was sulking, covered in latte, missing my chance with a cute girl. I gotta ask myself, why does my brain hate me sometimes? I'm determined to find out why.
You still owe me $5.
Ever since I was little, the natural world has always fascinated me. Exciting discoveries and mind-blowing things are revealed every day. And I'm learning there's a lot more to do than sitting in a cubicle or wearing a pocket protector. My mission? To explore and journalize real careers in science, technology, engineering, and math. These are the STEM journals. STEM Journal's entry, Cognitive Psychology. Okay, so after changing my shirt from that embarrassing coffee incident this morning, I'm gonna head over to Arizona State University and talk to Magic Tony. He's gonna tell me how distraction affects attentiveness and observation. Maybe he can help me not to be such a clumsy buffoon with the ladies. So, Tony, how's the magic biz going?
Not bad, can't complain.
Good. You know, I've been meaning to ask you this since I've known you. You're a magician, but you're also a cognitive scientist. So, I mean, what do you just enjoy making people's brains disappear?
So I started doing magic when I was 7, and as I got older, I realized that magic is really grounded in principles from cognitive science. For example, when we're focusing our attention on one thing in our environment, we're blind to lots of stimuli.
Oh, so you mean like a magician when he's like, hey, take a look over here, and then all of a sudden, boom, something happens
That's
behind
it,
you
you
that
got
kind
it.
of blocks you
Boom.
from, oh my, hey!
Hold on.
Quacks
whoa,
first,
whoa.
bro! College kids.
Yeah. Did you see that by any chance?
Yeah, I saw that. We almost just got killed.
No, not the bicyclist, the guy in the tutu.
There was a guy in a tutu?
Yeah, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Your attention was focused on that bicyclist that almost hit us,
Yeah.
and you completely missed the guy in the tutu. This is exactly like research I'm doing up in the lab. Let me take you up there and show you something. All right, Brad, you want to put your chin in that chin rest so we can stabilize your head?
What is this thing?
So this is an eye tracker. It measures where you're looking on this computer screen at any moment in time.
Sounds painful. You sure it doesn't
It won't hurt, I promise.
All right, I trust you.
So in a moment, I'm going to have you watch a video. And after you watch the video, I'm going to ask you a few questions about what you've seen.
Simple enough. Okay.
All right, press that space bar a couple times. Is the coin under the left cup or the right cup? Press L or R.
Duh, the left cup.
What?
So you went wrong there.
I saw you put it underneath there, though.
You know what? Let's watch it again. And stare at that little dot and press the space bar while you're staring at it.
Okay. Aha.
So did you see how the coin arrived at its final location?
Yes, I did. Somehow, as I'm staring at you, the coin magically floats over to the other side on its own.
Absolutely. So it's just like that bicycler.
Jeez.
I have a video here which will show you exactly where your eyes were placed throughout the entire video. So we can see where you were looking when you didn't detect the coin.
These are my eyes?
These are your eyes.
Oh, okay.
This little green dot reflects where you were looking on the screen. You're following the placement of the coin and the napkins. You spend a lot of time looking at my face. Most people do. Can't say I blame them. But there, at the moment when the coin slid across the screen, your eyes were firmly placed on top of that cup.
That's the illusion.
That's the illusion. We can also see what happened when you detected the coin the second time around. Oh, that moving object this time captured your eye movements. So what differed between the first viewing of the video and the second viewing of the video? Well, nothing except for your knowledge that you were duped somehow the first time.
When we're focused on one certain thing, we miss so much going on around us. I see that now after your research and after what happened with us earlier. But no offense, but what's the point?
Well, so it may surprise you to learn that we don't know very much about how attention actually operates. Attention is a new field of research, maybe 50 years of ongoing research. By bringing magic into the laboratory, we can examine how attention is deployed under conditions of almost real-world viewing. We can come to understand what cues in your environment dictate where you will place your attention at any moment in time.
So like in a classroom setting, if a
Exactly.
teacher can teach something that captures attention, then the attention will not be on the texting or on something going on in class. They will actually be focusing on the teacher.
Optimize the activity of the teacher to maintain attention on the important pieces and exclude all the distracting stuff
That would
that's
have helped
happening
me
in
in
the
school.
classroom.
Since you're so good at all these things, can you teach me a magic trick? Because I heard the ladies love magic.
You betcha. All right, I feel like we've made a real connection.
I think so.
So much so that I could read your mind.
Doubt it.
But the problem is you could be thinking of anything, right?
Right.
So let's limit the number of things you could be thinking to 1 in 52. So do me a favor, cut off part of that deck over to there.
Okay.
Wonderful, and we'll mark the location of your cut, just like so. You've cut to a card you don't even know the identity of yet. I'm gonna have you look at your card and I'm gonna try to read your mind. So there's your card. I want you to take it, memorize it, don't let me see it. All right. Ooh, I'm getting something. Your card is the color of a cherry, is that correct?
Nope.
A black cherry.
Yes.
Oh, it's a club, is that correct?
Yes.
It's got a number on it, not a letter. In fact, it's
Yes.
the 4 of clubs, is that correct?
Yep.
All right, awesome, you can do it. You can do this one.
I can't do that.
I'll show you how. I wasn't actually giving you the card you cut to. I was giving you the card that was on top of the deck at the very beginning. Well, let's watch what happened. So I knew that the 4 of clubs was on top. You cut half of the deck over, go for it. I put the bottom half of the deck on top of the top half of the deck, and I had you take this card, which was the top card of the deck, so I knew what it was all along.
So it's not really magic, it's trickery.
It's trickery.
Trickery.
Yeah. Magicians aren't the only manipulators of attention. Good athletes also manipulate attention.
I love sports.
Yeah, you might want to go next door and talk to my colleague, Dr. Mike Macbeth. He does all sorts of great research on the interface of sports and psychology.
Huh. Okay, I think I'll do that. There's not a lot I can say about,
When I reappear in the STEM journals, what does throwing a better spiral have anything to do with cognitive psychology?
I'll have thousands of students.
I'll have a lot of teachers.
Many of these bright young minds will change the way we live in the future.
Maybe I'll be the one who finds a cure.
With STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and math,
I'll have a great career. And maybe I'll change the world.
no doubt.
CopperPoint is proud to sponsor STEM education because students who excel in science, technology, engineering, and math will solve the challenges of tomorrow. CopperPoint.
I thought Magic Tony had a cool job. This guy gets to throw a football all day. That may be an exaggeration.
So Dr. Macbeth, Magic Tony taught me that if you're focused on one thing so intently, you miss everything else that's going on around you. He told me that you do research within sports. What exactly do you research?
He looks at like, why are people making these mistakes? And our research shows that a lot of these assumptions that we make that occasionally cause us to make mistakes actually help us most of the time. Actually, let me show you. Suppose that I'm running at you and you are trying to tackle me.
Okay.
And I'm headed in this direction, so you go that way, and I turn this way, and so you try to anticipate me. I do a spin move and you miss me. you actually were assuming that I was heading in the direction I was facing.
Right.
Magic Tony emphasizes that, look, you faked the guy out. That happens rarely, but occasionally. But most of the time, you need to predict which way I'm going before I move that direction, because if you wait till I take a step and then react, I'm going to go by you.
I'm too late.
We actually have these internal abilities to react really fast and make predictions and actually experience the person moving in the direction they're facing before they even move.
But what exactly is your profession?
So I'm a sports scientist. We do measurements and statistics and things for how people behave in sports action. The area of sports science is actually really broad. In fact, my colleague Rick Hinrichs and I are doing a football experiment over here that he can tell you more about the other sports science career options. So what's going on?
Perfect.
Hey Brad, this is Dr. Rick Hinrichs here.
How you doing?
Dr. Heinrichs?
Just call me Rick.
Rick works.
There's a lot of people working in this field. Our graduates go into physical therapy, for example, sports medicine, occupational therapists, people that are involved in research. Like what we're doing today, we're in the middle of a research project trying to understand the science of throwing a football.
Is that what's going on here?
That's what's going on right here. Yeah.
Hey, you want to try being a subject here, seeing how far you can throw a football?
Sure.
Why don't you take a couple throws? Now notice what you're doing is that you're trying to get a perfect spiral. A perfect spiral will allow the ball to go further because it minimizes the air resistance, the drag force on it. We find that you can throw a little better spiral if you tilt it a little bit to the side. From what we've seen so far is that the ball will spin, but instead of spinning about the same direction that it's traveling, it's spinning about an axis that's tilted to the direction that it's traveling.
Wow, okay.
So
we can't tell it because it's going so fast?
The body and the eyes and the brain perceive different than what actually reality is. Why don't you try throwing some?
Okay.
That last throw was really good. And it was a nice tight spiral, but as we could see it, the further it was going, we could see clearly that the football was not traveling along the same direction. It was tilted to the side, and it stayed tilted all the way to the very end. And that's what we're trying to capture with the cameras, and that's what we're hoping to be able to find as to how much tilt to the side is good.
Okay, so I love football, so I'm so glad I made it out here today. But with your research, with what you're finding out, what do you hope to pass on to other people?
What we're hoping to do is to actually revolutionize the way that people think about throwing footballs. We're going to have a lot of kids happy being able to throw spirals, and ultimately maybe they're going to turn into professional quarterbacks later from throwing lots of spirals.
Hey, no wobble there.
So that's how it's done.
On my next entry into the STEM journals, Brompton bicycles in the park and my parasympathetic mind.
Jack is a healthy, happy first grader. Loves Legos, loves baseball. As a parent, when your child is diagnosed with cancer and you think you're going to lose your child, you do not know what to do. The only place that I felt comfortable taking him was Phoenix Children's Hospital. The fear that first impacts you is fully taken away. Their sole goal is to make your son better. Jack is cancer-free because of the physicians at Phoenix Children's.
As fun as football and other sports are to play, they're super risky to the athletes as far as injuries go. A concussion is one of the most traumatic and dangerous things that can happen to someone's brain. Dr. Sung Lee is a hired researcher at Brain State Technologies. He's going to talk to me about how trauma to the brain can actually disrupt brainwave activity. Maybe that's what's wrong with me.
And I found that ultimately, it's really about the brain and how the brain manages the body. When the brain has a trauma, it can either go into a fight-flight mode, which we call the sympathetic nervous system response, or a freeze mode, which we call the parasympathetic nervous system response. Why don't we take a little break here and I'll talk to you about that more.
Okay.
We were talking about the fight-flight response, and that's just another way of saying that we're in a state of high arousal.
What do you mean by arousal?
If you wouldn't mind, if you would just turn the pedal a few times here. So as you turn that pedal, obviously the tire is going faster and faster so the bicycle can move. So that's arousing. Now, if that goes too fast for too long, try that. Well, that feels kind of out of control. And you can also imagine that that probably isn't very good for the bike for a long, long time, right?
Just like in the brain, overworking.
Precisely.
Okay.
So over time, parts are going to have wear and tear, and it just won't function as well. So now that's why we have this other division, which mediates the rest, digest, or freeze mode. The parasympathetic system will put a gentle brake on our arousal. So notice what happens when I gently brake your system.
There's a little bit of a catch, but I can still move it.
You can control yourself. You can regulate your steering more easily. But now watch what happens if there's a major trauma and I go into a freeze mode.
Okay. Can't even move it.
Exactly. And that's the problem with the parasympathetic freeze mode. We can't even move and we're really stuck.
Even though the right and left side of the brain are separate entities, they still require each other to run smoothly.
That's exactly right. We don't want them to have one dominating the other, and that's why we'd like to help them to become more optimally balanced. That's why we do brainwave optimization.
What's the process for optimizing the brain?
I'd be delighted to show you.
Perfect. So Dr. Lee, what got you interested in doing what you do?
So I was always interested, even from a young kid, in doing things that could help people. So I did go to medical school, and I was always interested in how people could heal from the inside out. And ultimately, I found that it's all about the brain and how the brain manages your health and the body itself. This is our assessment. So right now, we're just collecting the data. The brain is perceiving its own activity. It's calibrating itself. We find that by presenting the brain with information about its own functioning, it can adjust its own functioning to be more balanced. So we're going to go ahead and begin our assessment. So
Okay.
I'd like you to please just comfortably sit with eyes closed, and this will last 1 minute. Okay, Brad, so we are done completing your assessment. What we're seeing here is the top part here, that purple area, it's stronger on the left than the right. So that suggests to me that you may have a little bit of a tendency to be a little more in that sort of freeze state as opposed to a high arousal state.
During my time in the military, I was trained to jump into action if something happened. If I'm more of left-brained and I tend to be in a freeze state, how does that make any sense?
You have adapted, you have self-regulated through behaviors that left brain freeze state. So instead of being in this low arousal state, which the brain doesn't really like, you have consciously gotten more aroused. You've jumped in, you've taken action, and that has made you feel more balanced.
Am I pretty normal?
Everyone, I believe, can benefit from fine-tuning the left-right balance. I do think you do very well with this.
Well, I appreciate you checking me out.
My pleasure. Thank you, Brad.
Tune in after the break to watch the science of baseball and see a few familiar faces.
Arizona companies see a bright future, from high-tech jobs in aerospace to outer space, renewable energy, crops for the future, and healthcare for the coming decades. Arizona will need more than 150,000 workers in the coming years, with skills in science, technology, engineering, and math. Copper Point supports companies prepared for Arizona's economic growth. Copper Point.
Got the science of baseball. Everyone's throwing curveballs behind us. It looks like it's just a game, but the baseball players are trying to see if curveballs really curve. So have you been to fast pitch?
No, I haven't yet.
Oh my God, you have to go. You stand behind a screen and a pitching machine shoots a ball past your face at like 90 or 100 miles an hour and you can't even hear it go by.
Okay, thank you. I'll meet you back here later.
Excellent.
Hey, Alex. Hi, Dr. Brewer. I see you throwing a ball. What's going on over here?
We're replicating one of the first experiments ever done on baseball, where we have people throw a curveball around a series of poles.
And how does the ball curve?
You have a particular grip that makes the ball spin in a different way than it normally spins when you're throwing a fastball. So as you throw the pitch, the ball's spinning like this instead of like this, and then that creates a difference in airflow, creating a curvature of the ball as it's approaching home plate. Another really interesting idea with the spin of baseballs is to look at whether a fastball rises or not. That's a classic illusion. Most people feel like they see a fastball rise, and Dr. Mike Medeth from Arizona State University has done a lot of research on that, and he's right over at the pitching machine. You should check it out.
Foul ball. Oh, let's slow down here. Hi, I'm Dr. Mike Medeth.
Alex.
I thought we could talk a little bit about what's going on here. All right, we want to change up here. All right, that's a little bit
Come
better
on,
there.
that's my little league throw. My grandma throws faster than you. Why do I see the fastball rise? Does it really rise?
So the rising fastball is actually an illusion that it looks like it's rising because you're misjudging the speed. If it's faster than you think, then it tends to look like it rises. If it's slower, it tends to look like it drops more.
So I heard people on Saturday Night Live were making fun of you for being some kind of mad scientist.
Moi? Saturday Night Live made fun of me? It turns out that we did a study originally where we had baseball players catch balls with head cams on, and we showed that they keep the image of the ball always rising at a constant angle. We also decided, let's see if this works with dogs, another species catching a different kind of thing, frisbees. So we put head cams on dogs, and they actually do the exact same thing. They keep the image of the frisbee rising all the time. But for some reason, Saturday Night Live thought that dogs catching frisbees didn't sound very academic and scientific. I have no idea why. So are you gonna take a few swings with that bat there?
Yeah, but first I want to try to warm up using a weighted bat.
Ah, so do you think using a weighted bat would work better than just warming up with a regular bat?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it turns out actually Dr. Rick Hendricks is doing a study on that. He's going to tell us all what works better, weighted bats or not. And we don't know the answer yet, but I'm sure you'll find out.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to head over there.
All right, great talking to you.
That's 46 miles an hour. 52 miles an hour. Now I want you to try the weighted bat. Now that's 27. That's a lot slower. 22. 28. Without any additional movement, you're just going to get right up to the batter's box and you're going to swing this. 52. Again. 51. You're consistently about the same as you were before. Go again. 50. You swung the bat pretty much the same speed after the warm-up as you did before the warm-up. We find no benefit in terms of bat speed to doing the weighted warm-up. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Yeah, you too.
Hey, how did you like it?
I liked it. I enjoyed the curveballs. Hitting kids is actually pretty fun.
It was fun, huh? I mean, you can't believe science can be so fun, and that's the whole point of this festival, is to really try to tie together science, learning, and being outdoors, and kicking off spring training. That's the best.
Yeah, especially I learned a lot about that fast pitch. Like, it looked like it was rising, but I found out from one of the scientists it's actually staying at the same height the entire time.
Did you do the weighted bat swing?
The weighted bat, yeah. I hit like a sissy.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said,
Yeah.
well, will you come back next year?
Absolutely.
Oh, good. So have a great day, and thanks for coming
Okay,
out.
thank you.
Okay, bye.
You're not gonna spill that on me, are you?
Okay, I deserve that. But give me another shot. Do you like magic? Perfect. STEM journals, concluding entry. Cognitive psychology is not at all what I thought. There's so many aspects of it that deal with our everyday lives, like magic and sports. I had no idea that it could be fun and entertaining and adventurous to have a career in psychology. Well, something to think about while I wait for my coffee.